Welcome, dear friend, to Am I Sleeping? Climb into bed and get cozy while we explore the stories that linger in the shadows of consciousness, reality, and nightmare. And tonight, we're going to talk about things that we see when we think no one is looking, and about the things that might be watching us back. The only question you'll ask yourself is, am I sleeping?
Nothing heard, admin 1. Here we go again, you both cut over each other, I only got Delta 8 again.
Marcus Reed was 34 years old, ex-military, and was now 3 months into a new job as night security at the Meriden Tower, one of these glass and steel monoliths downtown where important people do important things during the daylight hours. But at night the tower belongs to Marcus. Marcus enjoyed the solitude and the quiet. After 2 tours overseas and the constant noise that came with active combat, the silence and the empty hallways and vacant offices felt like a gift, as he knew some guys who had made it back were not coping so well with the adjustments to civilian life. For Marcus, the job was simple. Make rounds every 2 hours, check the doors, monitor the security feeds, and make sure nothing happened until morning. And the best part of that, nothing ever happened at Meriden Tower. Until it did. It was Tuesday in late October when Marcus first noticed something unusual. It was small at first, the kind of detail most people would miss. But Marcus wasn't most people. His role in the military had trained him to spot anomalies, and what he saw on camera 16 was an anomaly. Camera 16 covered the east hallway on the 42nd floor, the executive offices. Very fancy, and should be very empty at 2:17 a.m. Except now, it wasn't empty. There, at the edge of the frame, something moved, a shadow creeping against the wall, just for a moment, and then gone. Marcus rewound the footage. Played it again. The shadow was there. Rewound and played it again, and again. The shadow was there, and then it wasn't. Like something passing by the camera too quickly to be captured properly. Something wanting to remain unseen.
Dispatch, this is Reed at Meriden. Possible movement on 42. Gonna go and check it out.
The radio crackled back.
Copy that, Reed. Probably just a cleaning crew.
But Marcus knew the cleaning crew had left hours ago. He'd watched them go. He just shook his head and walked towards the elevator. The doors opened, and the 42nd floor was silent when Marcus stepped off out of the elevator. The emergency lights cast everything in a dim blue glow. His footsteps echoed on the marble floor as he made his way down the east hallway. He scanned his surroundings as he walked. Nothing. No one. He checked each office. All empty. All locked. Just as they should be. He shrugged it off, thinking maybe it's a glitch on the camera. But back in the security office, Marcus reviewed the footage again. The shadow was still there, still unexplained, and still annoying him. The next night, Marcus paid special attention to the camera 16. For hours, nothing happened. Just an empty hallway bathed in the emergency lighting. He started to think he was getting obsessed with something that he had imagined. And then, at 2:17 a.m. exactly, the shadow appeared again. Same place, same movement, same duration. Marcus began keeping a log. Each night, the shadow would appear, always at 2:17, always on camera 16, always moving in the same direction. After a week, he could predict it to the second. He reported it to his supervisor, who had dismissed it as a glitch in the system. "Old building, old wiring," he said. "Sometimes the emergency lights flicker." But Marcus knew better. The shadow moved with purpose, with intent. On the 8th night, Marcus decided to wait on the 42nd floor. He positioned himself at the end of the east hallway, out of view of camera 16, but with a clear line of sight to where the shadow always appeared. 12:15 a.m. Nothing. 12:16 a.m. Nothing. 12:17 a.m. Footsteps. The shadow appeared on the wall, just as it had done on the camera, but from Marcus's vantage point, he could see there was nothing casting it. No person, no object, just darkness moving across the wall like stain spreading through a fabric. The shadow appeared on the wall, just as it had done on the camera, but from Marcus's vantage point, he could see there was nothing casting it. No person, no object, just a darkness moving across the wall like a stain spreading through fabric. He had seen many things, but this was a first for Marcus. He stepped forward. The shadow stopped. "Hello?" His voice sounded small in the empty hallway. The shadow remained motionless, just for a moment. Then it changed direction and moved towards him. "Oh, hell no," Marcus shouted. He wasn't ashamed to admit he ran back to the elevator, back to the security office, back to a camera where he could watch from a safe distance and behind a locked door. On the monitor, the shadow lingered in the hallway for several minutes before disappearing into an office. The CEO's office. "That's new," Marcus muttered. The next morning, Marcus stared at his phone for a while before he made up his mind. He punched in the numbers, and then a male voice answered. Marcus informed them that he won't be in work that evening. He was calling in sick. He spent the day researching the building's history. Meriden Tower was only 15 years old. No reported deaths during its construction. No tragic accidents. No reason for a haunting. And nothing strange had been reported either. But then, he noticed something else wasn't there. Something strange about the 42nd floor. A gap in the records. The CEO's office had been renovated 3 years ago, but the permits and plans were missing from the city's archives. The next night, Marcus returned to work with a plan. He brought a digital camera with infrared capabilities. If the shadow appeared again, he'd capture it and properly document it, prove he wasn't imagining things, even if it was only just to himself. 2:10 a.m. Marcus positioned himself in the east hallway, camera ready. 2:15 a.m. The elevator dinged unexpectedly. Marcus turned, startled. This hadn't happened before. A woman stepped out, mid-40s, elegant, pantsuit, gold necklace and bracelets. The kind of person who belonged on the 42nd floor. But not at this hour. "Excuse me, ma'am. This area's closed." She smiled, a practiced professional smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I'm working late. Quarterly reports." She held up an access badge, executive level, and lowered it quickly, but not quick enough. Marcus saw her name, Catherine Meriden. "Of course, Miss Meriden. I apologise for the interruption." She nodded and walked off down the hallway, towards the CEO's office, her heels clicking on the marble floor. Marcus checked his watch, 2:16 a.m. He followed at a distance, watching as she entered the CEO's office and closed the door behind her. The nameplate on the door read Catherine Meriden, Chief Executive Officer. Marcus waited for the shadow to appear on the wall. Nothing happened. Confused, he took a photo of the empty hallway anyway, and then returned to the security office to check the camera feeds. On camera 16, the shadow appeared right on schedule, moving across the wall, entering the CEO's office. He rewound camera 16 and played it back. The shadow appeared right on schedule, moving across the wall, entering the CEO's office. But Marcus had been there. He had seen nothing else. He rewound the footage back to when Catherine Meriden had walked down the hallway. On the security feed, the hallway was empty. No woman in a pantsuit, no clicking heels on marble, no conversation. Marcus pulled up the company directory on the computer. There was no Catherine Meriden listed as CEO. The current chief executive was a man named Richard Hargrave. For the next 3 nights, Marcus waited on the 42nd floor. Each night, at exactly 2:17 a.m, the elevator would ding. Catherine Meriden would step out, they would exchange the exact same words, and she would walk to the office, enter and close the door behind her. And each night, the security footage would only show a shadow at 2:17 a.m. No woman, no conversation. On the 4th night, Marcus brought a file he'd compiled. Newspaper articles, corporate records, photographs. Catherine Meriden had indeed been CEO of Meriden's Tower's primary tenant company 3 years ago, before she disappeared without a trace after working late one night. The case into her disappearance had gone cold. No body, no evidence, just an empty office. People had thought she couldn't handle the pressure and had just left. The company had quickly promoted Richard Hargrave to fill her position. 2:17 a.m. The elevator opened. Catherine stepped out. "Excuse me, ma'am. This area's closed." The same smile. "I'm working late. Quarterly reports." But this time, Marcus felt he needed to intervene. They'd spoken every night, and she didn't seem dangerous, so Marcus didn't let her pass. But this time, Marcus felt he needed to intervene. They had spoken every night, and she didn't seem dangerous, so Marcus didn't let her pass. "Miss Meriden, you've been missing for 3 years." Her smile faltered, just for a moment, and then returned colder than before. "Don't be ridiculous. I was here yesterday, and the day before." "No, ma'am, you weren't. Well, not really." Marcus held up the file. A newspaper with a photograph. The headline read, "CEO of major corporation, still missing after 6 months." She took the file. Her hands were like ice. The very air around her felt cold.
He could feel a sense of unease deep inside. She looked at the file slowly, her expression unchanged. Without looking up, she said flatly, "You shouldn't be here at 2:17. And then she looked him straight in the eyes. It felt like she was looking into his soul. No one should be here at 2:17. Why not? Because that's when it happens. What does? Marcus said. Every night, when he comes for me, again and again. Marcus checked his watch. 2:18. Who comes for you? He could feel the unease growing. Catherine's eyes moved to look over Marcus's shoulder. Him. Marcus turned. The CEO's office door, the one that Catherine had usually gone inside now, was opening ever so slowly. But when the door opened, the office beyond wasn't an office anymore. It was darkness, complete and absolute, like it was swallowing the light around it. And then he saw something emerging from the darkness. He felt a voice whisper in his ear, the cold breath like a draft on his neck. Run, Catherine whispered. He only needs one of us. But Marcus didn't run. The military had trained him for more than just spotting anomalies. It had trained him to protect. Go, he told Catherine. Take the stairs, don't look back. Marcus stood and faced the darkness, his darkness. The shape within it was almost human, almost. What the hell am I doing? Marcus thought. Why do I always get myself involved? Suddenly, as the thing moved towards him, arm outstretched, the lights in the hall surged to an uncomfortable brightness, and then a pop. The emergency system activated, sprinklers engaged, and water rained down on Marcus and the dark shadow figure. The darkness retreated, folding in on itself, disappearing back into the office. The door slammed shut. Marcus stood in the empty, now soaking hallway, alone, in the dark. His radio crackled to life.
Reed, what the hell is going on up there? The fire system just went crazy on 42.
Marcus raised the radio slowly, water still dripping from his face. False alarm. I'll reset it. The next night, Marcus requested an assignment to a different building owned by the company. His supervisor was happy to oblige after the sprinkler incident. As Marcus cleaned out his locker, he found something that hadn't been there before. A small brown envelope. Inside, a handwritten note. Thank you for breaking the loop. You don't know what you've done for me, but we will meet again. KM. And a keycard. Executive level access for Meriden Tower. On the back of the card, another message. He's still there, still watching, still waiting. Someone needs to guard that office. Someone needs to be ready at 2:17. Marcus never returned to Meriden Tower, at least not as an employee. But if you happen to visit that glass and steel monolith downtown, you might notice a man sitting in a coffee shop across the street, every night, watching the 42nd floor through binoculars, waiting for 2:17 a.m., watching for shadows. Sometimes the most important job isn't the one you're paid to do. Sometimes it's the one you choose, the one no one else can see. Thank you for listening to Am I Sleeping? If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below what keeps you awake at night. And remember, sometimes the things we watch are watching us back.